So I'd like to do the demonstration now and just configure the multi-area OSPF v3 network. We're going to use effectively the same exact network we used for OSPF v2, except this time I've applied IPv6 addresses to all of my devices except for my layer 3 switch. And I haven't done that yet because I want to show you something that we need to do on a layer 3 switch before IPv6 will work. So let's start our configuration. I'm going to start with that layer 3 switch so we can see what we need to do on that device in order to get it to accept IPv6 commands. In the end, we're going to set this IPv6 OSPF network up as a totally stubby network for Area 42, and we'll leave the rest in the default multi-area OSPF configuration. Well, I've moved over to my workstation now, and I'm going to open up PuTTY. We're going to connect to my layer 3 switch. And if we look right now, if I move into config mode and I try to issue the command IPv6 unicast routing, the command isn't there. All right, and it's saying that, IPv6 unicast, it's saying that the error happens at the V here, meaning that if I hit IP, I can only issue commands about IP right now, which is IP version 4. And I'm unable to issue any IPv6 commands on here, even though the code on this 3560 switch supports IPv6. Well, one of the things we need to do here is change my layer 3 switch to use a different system device manager, or SDM. By default, our layer 3 switches are tuned to act as a layer 2 switch, providing access to end users or desktop workstations. And I can see that by issuing the command show SDM prefer. And what that says is that right now my preferred SDM template here is desktop default. And what that means is that it is only going to allow us to use IPv4 addresses, and it's tuned to behave as a layer 2 switch. If I want my switch to behave as a IPv6 switch, I have to move into config T and issue the command SDM prefer and then dual. All right, I have several options here for my SDM templates. One of them is to act as an access switch. One is to act as that default. One is to do dual IPv4 and v6. Another one is to do routing, which means that it is going to prefer layer 3 routing over layer 2 switching. And then another one has VLANs in there. We tune these layer 3 switches to behave in the way that is most appropriate for the environment we're working with. Now, typically the default behavior of a switch is going to be just fine, but if I'm doing IPv6, I have to issue the dual command, and then I'm going to say default here. So SDM prefer default IPv4 and v6. We're going to save my config by issuing copy run start. And then in order to get that to apply, we have to reload the switch. So I'm going to reload the switch here. We're going to speed up the video here so you can see that the switch has reloaded. And then when we come back, we will start configuring IPv6 on our layer 3 switch. All right, looks like the router is back online now. So let's log back in and see if we can enter our IPv6 commands. So in order to get IPv6 routing to work on here, we need to issue the IPv6 unicast routing command. And now that my SDM template prefers dual IPv4 and IPv6, I can now enter that command. So now that I have that command entered, I do need to go and configure the IPv6 addresses on my layer 3 switch.